Good morning, fifth grade Leap. Hope you guys are doing well. We are going to be starting chapter 7 in your textbook. Before we get going on this particular chapter, though, I do need to let you know that this chapter tends to overcomplicate the concepts, and it does not need to be that complicated. So we're going to be doing some lessons in the book, but we're also going to be using some other resources, and I'm going to be doing a few other things with you guys. So just so that you know ahead of time, we're going to be omitting some lessons. Okay, what I'd like you to do in order to start our first chapter is to complete the Show What You Know. It's on page 305, looks like this. So if you could, please do numbers 1 through 9. And I just want to kind of give you a heads up right here when they're asking about square units, all they're asking for is what is shaded in. Okay, so if you could please pause the video and go ahead and complete that, and when you come back, we'll go ahead and check your answers. Okay, we are back. Let's check your answers here. I'm going to be filling this out along with you guys, so if you can follow along, that would be great. Okay, part of a group. Write a fraction that names the shaded part. So the shaded part of this fraction is 1 because only one triangle is shaded in. The total parts is 4. So my fraction is going to be 1 over 4. And just as a reminder, remember your top number in a fraction is called the numerator. The bottom number is called the denominator. Shaded parts for number 2. 5 of the hearts are shaded in. Total of 7. 4, 5 over 7. Number 3, write the area of each shape. Remember, the area is what is included or in this picture right here, or what is shaded in. So for number 3, your answer should be 12. Oh, I'm sorry, 13. I'm sorry, I counted wrong. Should be 13. Okay. For the next one, your number should be 18 square units. And for the last one, it is 20. Number 6 through 9, you have to show an equivalent fraction. Remember, don't make life difficult for yourself. In order to find an equivalent fraction, you simply multiply your numerator and your denominator by the same number. It can be any number you want, but if I were you, I wouldn't choose like 87 or 92 because that's a lot of multiplication. I am simply going to choose to multiply top and bottom, numerator, denominator, by 2. So my new fraction is going to be 6 over 8. 3 times 2 is 6. 4 times 2 is 8. That's where I end up with 6 over 8. Now remember, this is a possible answer. There's lots of different answers. As long as you multiply top and bottom by the same number, then you're good. Okay, number 7, 19 over 15. If I multiply by 2, I get 18 over 30. Number 8, I could multiply both of these, top and bottom. Actually, I could have done that with this one too, with simplifying instead. Look at this one here, 24 over 40. You could multiply top and bottom by 2. You can also simplify it, and it doesn't have to be in the most reduced terms. You can do anything in terms of trying to make those numbers using the smallest unit possible. If I divide both top and bottom by 12, no, let's divide it by 2. If I divide top and bottom by 2, I'm going to get 12 over 20. Again, that's a possible answer. There's lots of different answers you can have. Number 9, 5 over 7. The possibility, I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 2, so I'm going to get 10 over 14. So check and make sure that you're on the right track. And then we're going to get ready to start our lesson. Again, not all lessons we're going to do for this particular chapter, but we are going to do the first lesson, which is 7.1. And that is on page 307. And try to adjust this a little bit for you guys. Okay. We're going to be finding parts of a group. So what I'm going to be doing here first is I am going to be looking at my unlock the problem, and we're going to be doing some drawing. Some of the directions are going to ask you guys to use some counters. Obviously, you guys don't have counters at home, so we're just going to draw the picture. Okay, here we go. Maya collects stamps. She has 20 stamps in her collection. 4/5 of her stamps have been canceled. Wait, hang on, 4/5. I'm going to underline 4/5. How many of the stamps in Maya's collection have been canceled? So I need to find out 4/5 of 20. Whenever you see that word of, think of multiplication. So it's telling you to put 20 counters on your math board. Well, again, obviously you guys don't have 20 counters. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to be doing a drawing here to show 4/5 of 20. So I'm going to skip down here. Since you want to find 4/5 of the stamps, you should arrange the 20 counters in how many equal groups? You want to arrange them into 5 equal groups. And I know it's kind of hard to see here because of my marker. Your denominator tells you how many groups you're going to be using. So that's why they've marked out 5 groups down here. So the denominator tells you how many groups. Equal groups. So I'm going to create a picture breaking down 20 into 5 equal groups. Now, remember I'm starting here. This circle signifies a stamp. And I need to have a total of 20. So I'm going to draw 1 in each of these boxes until I get to 20. So right now I have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So draw the counters in equal groups below. How many counters are in each group? So looking at each of these boxes, I have 4 counters in each of my groups. Let's read these very carefully down here at the bottom. Each group represents how many of the stamps. So if I'm talking about one group all by itself, how many stamps is that showing? One group here out of all the groups together. So if I have one group, it's going to represent 1/5. So one group of 5. How many? Oh, and right here, I'm sorry, circle 4/5 of the counters. So they want me to circle 4 groups all together here. So I'm going to circle these right here. How many groups did I circle? 4, because that's my numerator. That tells me how many groups to circle. How many counters did you circle? So how many counters all together within my 4 groups here? So if I have 4 times 4, I should get 16. This is how it looks mathematically. 4/5 of 20, remember, is the same thing as 4/5 times 20. So the total is 16 for each of those. So 16 of the stamps have been canceled. So again, take a minute to look at what we did. 4/5 of 20. 5, the denominator tells you how many groups you're going to, equal groups. The numerator 4 tells you how many you're going to circle, because that's out of 4 out of 5. And then counting all the counters that you circled, or all the circles or the stamps or whatever it is that you're talking about. Okay, let me erase this and we're going to go on to our very next page. So I'm going to be on page 308 now. Adjusted here. And here's my next example. Max's stamp collection has stamps from different countries. he has 12 stamps from Canada. Of those 12, 2/3, so there's 12 stamps altogether. Of those 12, 2/3 of them have pictures of Queen Elizabeth II. How many stamps have the Queen on them? Draw an array to represent the 12 stamps by drawing an X for each stamp. Since you want to find 2/3 of the stamp, your array should show how many rows. Remember, your denominator, 3, is going to tell you how many rows. So I know I'm going to need 12 rows, and remember, X's are representing the stamps. Rows go side to side. Remember, columns go up and down, rows go side to side. So I know I'm going to have 3 separate rows, and I'm going to keep counting X's until I get to 12 to represent the 12 stamps. So I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And 3 rows. There we go. The next question says, circle how many of the 3 rows of the groups to show 2/3. Remember, denominator tells us how many rows, numerator tells us how many we are going to circle. So I'm going to circle 2 because my numerator is 2. So I'm going to circle 2 of the 3 rows. How many X's did I circle all together? I circled 8. So to complete the problem, 2/3 of 12, which is the same thing as 2/3 times 12, is 8. So there are 8 stamps with a picture of Queen Elizabeth II. Okay, let's look at use appropriate tools. Again, they're telling you to use your math board with counters, and we're not going to do that. But I am going to ask you to leave a little bit of room here, or you have a little bit of room here, or a little bit of room up here, to go ahead and draw an array using X's, similar to what we did up here for the stamps. Okay, let's look at what the question is asking us. Let's see. They want us to find 4/6 of 12 and explain why the answer is the same as the answer when you found 2/3 of 12. So let's go ahead and model that 4/6. The denominator tells me how many rows I'm going to have. So I'm going to have 6 rows. Again, I'm going to do it off to the side over here. I'll try to squeeze it in here. 4, 5, 6. So I've got 6 rows. And remember, I've got 12 all together. So I'm going to keep counting until I get to 12. So I have 6 there. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I am finished with drawing my rows because I already got to 12. Now I need to circle 4 of those rows because 4 is my numerator. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I circle these 4 rows, I am still going to end up with the answer of 8, which is exactly the answer that we just got up here. So this is going to equal 8. The question is asking, why is it that you're getting the same answer? The 12 in the original, in both problems here, it doesn't change. That stays the same. But the fractions look different. 4/6 and 2/3. Look at it really carefully. Why is it that I'm getting the same answer, but the fractions are different? Take a minute to think about that. Focus on your fractions. Okay, you may have figured this out just by looking at it. They are equal, or how about we say they are the same? Let's do that. That's the same answer because 4/6 is equivalent to 2/3. So you're going to end up with the same answer of 8 stamps. Okay, try this. I would like you to take a minute, pause the video, and try this. If you could please go ahead and draw an array similar to the ones that we did here and to the one that we did with the up top on the top of the page, 2/3 of 12. But your fraction is going to be a little bit different. You're finding 3/4 of 16 this time. So you need a total of 16, and you're trying to represent 3/4 of that 16. So again, pause the video and please do that, showing me your picture and answering the question below your picture. Okay, so your answer should have looked something like this. I need 4 rows, and I need 16 altogether. So you should have 4 in each row. And I'm going to circle 3 rows because the numerator tells me how many to circle. Your answer should be 12. Check your answer with mine. Okay. Next page, on page 309. Here we go. Really simple. 7/8 of 16. And they want us to complete this model as answering the questions below. So how many rows of counters are there? Remember, rows go side to side. There's 8 rows. How many counters are in each row? There's 2 counters in each row. How many rows am I going to circle? Remember, that's my numerator. So I'm going to circle 7 of these guys, 7 rows. And how many did I circle all together? 14. So your answer is 14. Okay, I'm going to do one more with you. Then I would like for you to pause the video and then come back, and then we'll check your answers. Okay, they want you to use a model again. Same idea, using those X's. I'm going to have 3 rows. They didn't leave you guys a whole lot of room, so just do the best that you can to kind of squeeze that in. So I know I'm going to have 3 rows because that's what my denominator tells me to do. I'm going to keep drawing X's in each row until I get to 18. So there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Numerator tells me how many rows to circle. I'm going to circle 2 rows. If I have 6 in each of these 2 rows, my answer is going to be 12. Okay, continue on doing numbers 3 through 7, please. And so pause the video and get those done and all the way to 7, and then come back and then we will check your answers. Okay, hopefully you're back. Hopefully you did all your drawing. And let's check and see what your answers are going to be. And I'm not going to be drawing the models. I'm just going to be including the answers. Okay, for number 3, you should have had 6. Number 4, you should have had 4. And 5 is 15. And 6 is 18. And finally, 7 should be 12. Whoops, I guess it might help if I showed it to you. Good, so hopefully you guys did well on that. Okay, let's look at this last problem on the page, number 8. What multiplication problem does this model represent? Now they want you to work backwards. Now they're giving you the model, and you need to figure out what the multiplication sentence is going to look like. Now remember, we are dealing with fractions. So what is my fraction going to be just looking at this? Don't get tripped up. Think back to what we just did when you guys drew your X's or your models up here. What is my fraction going to look like? My numerator is how many rows are circled. So there are 2 rows circled. My denominator is how many rows there are altogether. There's 3 rows altogether. Now remember, it's a multiplication problem. How do I figure out what the other number is? Some of you may have gotten it already. It's how many red counters you have all together. So your multiplication problem is going to look like that. And let's go ahead and solve it. It doesn't tell you to solve it, but let's go ahead and solve it. My answer is going to be 6 because I have 6 counters all together. Okay, so again, we're going to finish. That's the end of this lesson, but we're going to finish up. But I do want to let you guys know that you're not always going to be having time to draw all these models with the X's and all that. Eventually, I'm going to show you a much easier way of how to do multiplication of a fraction and a whole number using more of a standard algorithm. But just for this case, they do want us to show the model. Okay, so now that we're done with the lesson, if you could please complete lesson 7.1 in your practice book. It's page 135 and 136. And just to give you a heads up, a couple of different ways that you can submit work to me, because that practice book page, I will need to see it so that I can grade it. If you can do, the easiest thing probably is to take a picture front and back and have mom or dad send it to me on the Remind app. That way I can grade it. Another method you can do, it's a little bit more difficult. I don't know if everybody has printers and scanners at home. You can scan the work and email it to me at ksetter@sbdiocese.org. Also, I have office hours Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 o'clock in the morning until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'll be here on campus. So if you are able to, maybe mom or dad could drop that by so that I can grade it. If none of those work for you, then just hang on to it, keep it safe, and I'll have you submit it upon our return to school. So, okay, hope everybody's doing good, and let me know if you guys have any questions. All right, talk to you later. Bye.